I had a moment of fear. Where it was like, oh no, they told me not to say anything.
No, that was amazing. That was incredible. What they did.
Yeah.
The
Howdy, folks. Brian Kusko here at Redline Report, and we are going to sit down today with Bob Bledsoe of Green Room Pythons. Bob has, in the last 3 years, built a really, really nice YouTube channel. We're going to talk to him about that journey, how he got there, and a little bit about what Bob does on the side. Maybe not on the side, but just in life. You're watching the Redline Report. The first time that we met was at a Reptile Super Show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This one.
Yeah. And you walked up and you're doing your filming and stuff, and we talked a little bit about whiskey, and you had a question for me about like what was the species I would keep.
I think so. I think I was just asking what your favorite species was.
Yeah, favorite species and kind of why, and it was fun. And you had a great like personality, and I was like, oh, this guy's cool, man.
Oh, thanks. Thanks.
And then you just blew up, bro. And you're doing great.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks. It's been a good steady growth, and it's fun. I love doing it. It's really fun.
Yeah, you can tell. Well, that's I think why it has grown, because you are obviously having fun doing it and enjoying the process. And if you're not, that's one of my pieces of advice always when people ask, oh, I'll start a YouTube channel. I was like, just do what you like doing.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's not sustainable.
That's my advice too, because the other thing is it's hard to be fake. I mean, you can be fake in a YouTube video, but the audience knows, and so that's something that draws the audience to somebody who's creating any kind of content. Is are they real? I mean, even if their stuff is scripted or whatever, it's still there's a realness versus are you trying to play it off like you're somebody you're not? You know? So.
I mean, Dave's done well with that. But,
No, I mean, Kaufman is a different story. People watch him because it's kind of like watching a real life Sasquatch that's less blurry. He's not nearly as blurry as the Sasquatches that we know, and so I think that's why he's got viewers. So,
sorry, Dave.
He's never going to see this. Come on, he doesn't know.
Oh my gosh. Speaking of like scripted, I was hoping. I know he's not here today, but I'd love to get Kent on at some point too. Like maybe we could have you and Kent together. Would be I think we could make that happen.
Tough to get him into a reptile show.
Sure,
as you know, but yeah.
Yeah, but I bet it would be. I'm willing to bet that with all the equipment I have here, that we could probably get the both of you in an interview at some point, and I think that would be fantastic. We're not going to do it today, obviously. Right, not here.
Right, but yeah, and another one, and there's actually a side door. He could come in the side door. He doesn't even have to be in the reptile show. So, absolutely.
There you go. I didn't even know I was going to. This is my first time in this room with a little side door, but I'll have to make sure to get it next time just for that purpose.
We'll do it. Yeah.
All right, cool. Dude, so you've been traveling around the world, checking out animals. How long have you been doing it? Where's the beginning for Bob Bledsoe in reptiles?
The beginning is young, small Bob Bledsoe. Because I was always just interested. I mean, it's the same boring story that everybody else has. That I had them as a kid, and they were fun and they were interesting. But I also I soaked up as much information as I could as a kid. Like I wasn't a big reader. I had a hard time reading. But if I got a Ranger Rick magazine,
Ranger, I used to have Ranger Rick.
Yeah, I would read that stuff. Like I'd read articles, and it just was fascinating. Reptiles were fascinating to me, and then I had reptiles as an adult. I think before the snakes that I have now, the last animals that I had were a couple of bearded dragons. And then I went about 10 years with no animals because I was just a touring comic. I was on the road a lot, and I just couldn't have a pet. And then I ended up with a python and a few more, and then I ended up with a YouTube channel, and here we go. I think we're 3.5 years into the YouTube channel at this point.
Yeah. It's doing great.
It's doing well.
And you do a great job with it.
Thanks.
Yeah, all the creativity, and the production quality, and
Thank you.
It's good.
I appreciate that. There were some skills that I had when I came into it, and then some skills that I had to learn, like editing. Still feel like I don't know how to edit. I don't know how to run my camera. I all that kind of stuff. So, but I get by enough.
Well, it goes to show you don't need to know those technical. I think that stops a lot of people. Like, I don't know
Yes.
how to work a camera.
Right.
And you just have to have an idea.
Yeah.
And then you just go with what you know how to do.
Right.
I mean, everybody knows how to put a cell phone on a tripod, I think.
Right.
And press record.
Which is what my first videos were, and they did just fine. Cell phone, and then I bought a nicer camera, and I can use it in the studio. But then if I take it out anywhere, the settings are all wrong, and I don't know what to do with it. But yeah, just do it with your phone. I still record a lot of stuff on my phone. Most of the video that I'm doing at this show is on my phone.
Yeah, and phones these days take incredible. I was talking with somebody in the car yesterday. We were talking about movies like some of the old classic movies we watched, like Back to the Future or Honey, I Shrunk the Kids was one that came up in conversation, and talking about how you go back and watch those movies now from our perspective of the movies we've seen now,
Right.
and you're like, this is like looks so like cheesy and cheap and yet at the time it was like cinematic peak.
Right, exactly.
And it wasn't because of the equipment they were using. That helped for where it was in the moment, but it was about the story. It's about what you had to share.
Sure.
It wasn't about the quality of the film they were using to film the film.
Right.
It was about the story they had. The reason they had all that equipment is because the story was so good that it called for what they could amass at that time.
Right.
But only because the story's that good.
Yeah. That's right. Yeah, it's. I tell you though, like you know what you're doing. You know how to work this equipment. You can make cinematic masterpieces that look amazing, and you tell really interesting stories on your channel, which is great. But that's the whole thing, and you're really talented at this. For me, I feel like I've got to have good content, entertaining content, and also content that's useful to people. And then I just hope that the video comes out right. I hope that as I'm editing it, that the sound worked and it's not blurry, and
So I'm kind of like the opposite. Like, I know how to work the camera. I know how to light stuff. I know some of this stuff, but then I'm like, a lot of times I find myself trying to compensate. Like, I don't know if I have a good story, so I hope it looks good.
Yeah, but you know what though, you are really comfortable on camera. Like, you've done it enough in front of the camera now that you're super comfortable. Like in an interview situation or just talking to the camera, talking about your family, stuff like that. You're really comfortable, and that people are drawn to that. Like, they want to watch somebody who's just chatting with them on camera. The ones the videos that we kind of tend to shy away from are people that are super awkward and stiff, and they don't really know. Even if they have good information, they're just stiff and awkward, and it makes us feel awkward watching it, so we click off,
Sure. I never really thought about that part of it. It took a while to get comfortable on camera. I still don't think I'm super comfortable on camera. But
You come off as comfortable. It's
maybe because sometimes I talk about stuff. I'm like, dude, there's plenty of videos I've recorded. I'm like, am I really going to upload this? Like, I was kind of just like, went like this and was like,
yes,
watch that.
That's what I was just going to say. Not only are you comfortable, but you're real. You share everything, and you're very real with the audience. And that, my phone's ringing. Hang on.
I had that happen in the last interview. My phone rang. Answer it. Oh, no. Oh.
I didn't.
Dang it.
It's my neighbor, Olivia, who's here right now.
Okay.
She's calling me to tell me that she's here.
Okay.
I'll find her.
All right, fair enough. I was hoping it was Dave Coffin so we could bring him in the interview. He would have loved it.
I would have, if it was Dave, I would have answered it.
Well, thanks for that kind words, Bob. This is supposed to be about you, not me.
Oh, let's talk about you, though. Enough about me. Let's talk about Brian Kusko.
But you've built a really cool following. Like, I got to meet some of your folks. I'm not ruining the surprise now. No, right? You already got to. Yes, no, you are. Gosh, no, you definitely got to see everything, right? The whole compilation that your Patreon folks put together for you.
Oh yes. Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
I went through my mind. I was like, no, he definitely saw it already. Like,
yeah, that was 6 months ago or something. Yeah.
Yes, I was like, I'm not ruining that. I had a moment of fear. Where it was like, oh no, they told me not to say anything.
No, that was amazing. That was incredible. What they did.
Yeah.
Some of my Patreon supporters, it was for my 3-year anniversary, so it would have been like 6 months ago. For my 3-year anniversary, interviewed you and Clint and a whole bunch of people. Dave Kaufman. I'm trying to think of who else. Ed and Emily, maybe. I think. Anyway, yes, they were in it too. Just saying congratulations on 3 years. And to me, 3 years wasn't even that big of a deal. Like, somebody told me you're coming up on your 3-year anniversary, and I was like, oh yeah, that's right. But they made this whole production and sent me this little video clip of all of you guys saying congratulations and stuff. It was really sweet. It brought tears to my eyes. It was very nice. And they also surprised me. Amy, my friend Amy, who kind of is she's sort of the social leader of my Patreon group, but also is the head moderator on Discord. And she set this thing up where we were supposed to have a meeting at this certain time with the Discord moderators. And what it was everybody who had pulled this thing together, they were giving me like a little Zoom surprise party, which it was sweet and ridiculous. And I loved it. It was awesome.
Yeah, man. It's cool.
Yeah.
But it goes to show like the vibe that you put out there and like who you are, like that they would do that for you, I think.
It was very touching. Yeah.
I think it speaks to who you are as a person.
Oh, thanks.
In my opinion.
Thanks.
Yeah.
It was really great.
Yeah. You come off with like a love for not just what you do, but for the people you're around, which doesn't happen like all the time which is natural for people, I guess, but especially somebody who works hard and makes good videos and has built a good following. Like you have kept you're the same Bob I met when you first came up, a few years ago, just starting your videos.
Oh, thanks.
Like just genuinely interested in people and like genuinely friendly and kind and loving.
Thanks.
In an outward way.
Thanks.
It's cool.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, it's nice. I appreciate it because it can go the other way so many times.
Yes. Yeah. I think having the experience like I was a touring stand-up comic, young, starting in my early 20s, and just having that experience of being kind of in the public, in those small, public being like right coming off of the stage at a comedy club and then meeting the people after, whatever, and probably in my early to mid 20s going through this thing where when people said, "Hey, that was a great show, you're fantastic," you believe them, and so you end up with kind of a big head. And so when you get that when you're younger, you kind of get a big head, and then hopefully you grow out of it and you go, "Oh, wait a second, I shouldn't believe people when they tell me I was terrible." You shouldn't believe them, but you also shouldn't necessarily believe them when they say you're great, because what they're saying is what I just saw, that performance that I just saw on stage, or that video that I just watched on YouTube was great. You did a great job on that, but that's not a comment on you as a person. So I think it took me a while to just not take that in, not take in negative stuff, and not believe the praise when somebody says you're great. Just try to have a baseline, have your self-esteem come from yourself, have a good self-esteem, but don't get blown up.
Sure. Yeah, because that's a good point, because if you rely on other people to blow you up, and it's that same place that's going to deflate you to
but it's also going to cause an ego. And I think in my 20s I had an ego that was out of check at times. Like I think of moments in my mid 20s where I cringe, I'm like, "Oh, I acted like that." I don't think I was like that all the time, but some of that got to my head, and I think I've grown out of it. So now when I start this YouTube channel, I've been through some of that stuff as a comic, and I've dealt with that as a younger person. So I hope this makes sense. I feel like I'm not even making a point.
No, it makes. I understand exactly what you're saying. I don't know about everybody else listening, but I'm picking it up.
Okay, all right, good.
Because I have moments like that myself where I'll look back, I'll think about, it'll happen. It was randomly driving down the road, or just some like old memory will pop up of like this time that I did this or said this, and I'm just like, literally physically cringe. Like
physically cringe, yes.
Gosh, I did that.
I think we all have that. As we grow, we amass experiences, and some are negative and some are positive, and a lot of them are our fault. And so that cringe is us beating ourselves up about it, right? Which is another thing that you shouldn't do, beat yourself up over past things, but
get better from them, hopefully.
Yeah, it's hard for me.
I think it's hard for most people.
Yeah, I think so. I think so.
It's being willing to humble yourself a little bit and be like, I am not the greatest thing out there.
Yeah,
and
right.
I have work, or that there's some things about me that could be better, and I'm not. Yeah. And that's it, by having that mentality, but without beating yourself up at the same time. Like, yes, there's things we could all do better, and we're going to do our best to do that.
Yeah.
Even if we might fail at times.
Right.
Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah, it's good.
We didn't talk about snakes very much.
Oh, we can.
Don't you want to talk about snakes on this?
I mean,
on this?
I was more about the person sitting across from me.
Great. Okay, we don't have to talk about snakes.
Yeah, we can though. I mean, like, what's your favorite snake?
I don't know. No, I do. I absolutely do. Of the ones that I keep, my super dwarfs are. I have two of them, and their personalities are so great. I love a reticulated python. I don't love the size of the mainlands, and I wouldn't be able to keep a mainland in the space that I have. But the tiny ones are incredible.
Hashtag reach out reptiles.
Yeah.
Nice, dude. Yeah, I like super dwarfs too. You got to go on some pretty amazing like South America stuff. You were taking emerald tree boas and like bringing them back into the wild. Like,
yeah, it was. Well, what it was I've done this twice now, where we go to Suriname, and there is so we're Suriname is there's a river called the Quarantine River, and you've got Suriname on one side and Guyana on the other side, and there's an area on that river that is I've always said that it's highly trafficked, but that means it's illegal. Like traffic, I guess the word trafficking means illegal. It's not illegal to take the animals, but it is commonly hunted. There are trappers and hunters that when they go down the river, and they're either professional trappers or hunters, or they're miners going to work the mines, and they're going to work for 2 weeks. And on the way in, if they see a green snake in the tree, they pull it down, throw it in a bag, and that snake just sits in the bag for 2 weeks while they're at work, and then they bring it back and sell it. And so all we're doing when we go there is we go to that area, we find as many as we can, pull them out of the trees, and take them deeper into the jungle and re-release them. We're not doing anything for the population. There's plenty of emeralds there. They're not depleting the population of emeralds. We're not taking a living out of the hands of these people that are. The hunters and trappers are really looking for other types of animals, and the snakes are just a side gig for them. And same with obviously the miners and loggers who are going to a different job, and this is a side gig for them. So we're just on the day that we're there, or during the week that we're there, we're pulling as many as we can and just saving those individual animals, bringing them deeper, re-releasing them, and we do it with Amazon tree boas as well. But when we get to Apura, which is pretty big village, but it's deep in the jungle. But it's like 3,000 people. They have cars and houses and stuff, but it's deep in the jungle. It takes a long time to get there. When we get there, we're friends with a middleman who buys snakes from the hunters, trappers, loggers, whatever. He buys it and then he sells them to the exporters. So I'll go to Kurt's house and say, Kurt, what do you got? And he'll show me what he has that hasn't been already spoken for, and we'll just buy everything that he's got and bring them back, because they were caught probably either yesterday or within a week or something. So we'll end up with some emeralds. The first time we had an anaconda that he wasn't gonna, those don't get exported. But somebody found it and brought it to him, so he paid the guy like $5, and then he was just gonna release it. So we had this really cool anaconda that was like 6 feet long, and like a rainbow boa and bunch of Amazon tree boas, and just bring them out and re-release them. It's fun. It's cool.
Yeah, it sounds like a blast.
Yeah.
One of these days when I don't have 17 kids, I'd like to come back out on the road with you guys and do one of these adventures. I miss them. I haven't been out with Dave in like a hot minute, and it's coming again, but it's just not the season right now.
It's pretty incredible. And Dave, I brought Dave with me on the last trip,
Yeah.
and he says that's his favorite trip that he's ever been on.
Yeah, that's what he said.
Which made me feel really good. But we're roughing it out there. We're not staying in a hotel and then going out into the jungle and back to our hotel. We're bringing cots or hammocks, and we're slinging hammocks between trees, and we're in the jungle for a week sleeping in hammocks.
Yeah, I've done it. I need to do it again.
Yeah, it's great. It's great. Yeah.
Yeah, dude, I'm gonna get back out with you guys before 2030. Before 2030.
Nice. I'm putting together a trip for next year. I have some of my Patreon members who want to go, so I'm putting on a Patreon only trip. I can't have two. These are small trips. You can't have a ton of people, but we're putting that together for 2025, I think.
Nice. Yeah, that'll be before my time for sure.
Oh yeah.
Which Dave is gonna be not want to hear that, but. Sorry, Dave. Too many small children.
Yeah. You're in a different place. My small children are now adults, so I can do what I want.
Sounds nice.
Yeah. It won't be long. You're enjoying your kids.
I am. I'm definitely doing that.
Yeah.
Well, anything you want to state, folks, before we get back out to the show and wrap this up? Hope, words of wisdom, hope, joy, encouragement.
Wisdom, hope, joy, and encouragement. Everybody. That's what I have to say. I think we got all that out.
Yeah.
In this, I don't know if there's anything else that I want to say. It's nice sitting here with you and having a chat.
Yeah, definitely. Well, what about? I mean, for folks that there's probably a couple folks out there that they're seeing your face for the first time, maybe. And
Sure.
For those folks, what I think follow along with everything you're doing.
Yeah, Green Room Pythons on mainly on YouTube, but I'm also on Instagram and TikTok. Green Room Pythons.
Yeah, man.
That's that.
All right, Bob. Thanks for the time, dude.
Thanks, man.
Appreciate you, bro.
Appreciate you.
Yeah, man. Please find the links for Bob's channel in the description below. If you haven't checked out his channel already, please go check it out. He does a great job. Really good stuff. I'm not just saying that. It's really good stuff. Go check it out. And thank you guys for watching. Make sure to stay tuned for next week and subscribe so that you can see the next video coming out next Tuesday right here on the Redline Report. Until then, y'all take care. Gosh, sometimes when I go to like give my intros and outros for folks, I don't have a script. I'm not reading from something. Sometimes I feel like I should, but I don't. So it's sometimes a little rough, but it's just, my brain is not everywhere that it should be. Hasn't been. Oh my God, I should just stop and we'll just take this from the top. I don't need to say all that. Thank you guys for watching. Every now and then, I forget to push one. And
Oh yeah.
it's a problem. I used to back up, like for a little while there. I was throwing a second microphone just on here so that I had. The last time I did this in Denver, I had, because the very first time that I went around this show, and it was this show the first time I interviewed people for YouTube.
Right.
I walked around and had the cool lav mic setup. I still have the pack, actually. Sony things I put into the side of that dinosaur. That's now that dinosaur mic, and I go out and I hook everybody up, and I take this setup basically around to other people's booths, set up the lights, set up the cameras, tripods, all that, and like, we're gonna go, and then get the lav mic all set up, dialed in, plug in. I had this little Tascam recorder, kind of like that one, but not that same one. And check the audio, and I'd be like, all right, check, test, and stand there, just look at the levels, and they'd go, check, okay, check. And I go put it in the backpack. I had the wireless lav going to it. And what I didn't realize is on that recorder, there were also the internal mic, like the on body mics,
Right.
The on recorder mic,
Right.
And that's what I had it set to record from. So I recorded the inside of my backpack for an entire weekend.
Oh my God.
And at least
So you couldn't use anything.
Well, at least I had a shotgun mic on top of one of the camera like I do there.
so you used that.
It wasn't horrible. I had at least audio and it was passable, but for me it was horrible. For everybody else, they were like, I didn't even notice.
Right.
And I was like, no, you did.
Yeah.